Blood moon hanging in the sky, ruined city, lover's death, despair, sadness, pain, fear, and darkness pervade every corner of the world. Hypocritical humans roar for demons to return to hell, but everywhere you look, there is only death. Isn't this the so-called hell? This is a complete tragedy. Where did it begin? At that Sabbath party, or earlier? A hand reaches out to pull the boy from the darkness. The gloomy sky swallows everything, much like Ryo's current state of mind. This is their first meeting. Fudo gently embraces Ryo, constantly comforting him. He cries for the loss of every life, a tender-hearted crybaby. That's Fudo. Yet Ryo can never fully understand the boy's sorrow. Her name is Makimura. Unlike Fudo, who runs at the back of the crowd, she stands out among her peers. Her forthright personality attracts a large group of friends, including Fudo. Since his parents went abroad, he has been living with the Makimura family. As dusk falls and the sunset spills over, Makimura lies on a riverbank deck. 3 thugs approach and stand in front of her. At that moment, Fudo arrives at the shore, greeting everyone. The thugs naturally bully the timid boy. A sports car speeds up and stops at the roadside. A man in white steps out, calls Fudo's name saying he needs him. They embrace, then he fires a warning shot, instilling fear in everyone. This man is the grown-up Ryo, now America's youngest college professor. Then Ryo takes Fudo away from there. In the car, Ryo explained to Fudo why he was looking for him. Last month, Professor Fichera, who was traveling with him, died at an ancient site. Before his death, his behavior became extremely strange. He started killing animals relentlessly and muttering to himself. One day, he even turned his aggression toward humans. Ryo had to shoot at him, but the professor suddenly doused himself in gasoline, claiming he could no longer control it and wanted to die while still human. Then, a monstrous creature emerged from his body. This demon, skilled in combat and highly resilient, merges with superior organisms to survive. It's linked to mysterious slaughters worldwide and sudden displays of extraordinary physical abilities by athletes and ordinary people. Ryo's goal is to find evidence and expose it publicly. This is the terrifying legacy left by the professor. Fearing, yet desperately seeking answers, he turned to the only person he trusted, Fudo, who looked at Ryo and agreed to help. Then, the blood-red doors slowly opened, and the frenzied party named Sabbath began, marking the start of all tragedies. This is an absolute massacre, a bloody feast from the arrival of a supreme demon on Earth. Ryo and Fudo enter the party known as Sabbath, where human desires are completely unleashed. Under the patchy lights, debauchery and filth are exposed without restraint. Here, people indulge in their revelry, and it's said that demons seek hosts at this party. But to Ryo, this isn't enough. However, with a scream, the bloody revelry finally begins. Ryo thinks these people are scum. It doesn't matter if they all die. Then fights and chaos erupt, and the real demons, excited, reveal themselves. Humans run wildly, but the feast that has begun will not allow them to leave. At this moment, Ryo is surrounded by countless demons. Fudo desperately runs toward Ryo as demons rapidly close in on him. Fear distorts Fudo's face as death approaches. Then, in the next moment, the king of hell, Amon, descends with a bloodthirsty madness, celebrating his arrival with all the lives here. Although they are demons too, in Amon's presence, they are like fragile insects, unable to survive before the king. At this time, Ryo suddenly feels confused, for he has unleashed the strongest demon in the world. Do you know how to win over a teenage girl in one sentence?
ガキはお断りだ.
The man who watches romance movies at school is named Fudo. He is extremely arrogant, and every move he makes emits pheromones that captivate the opposite sex. Just the day before, he was an ordinary high school student unnoticed by others. However, a bloody ordeal that night completely changed his life. On the track, Fudo is preparing for the upcoming race. Countless girls scream for him on the sidelines, causing immense jealousy among the male students. Despite his transformation, his classmates believe that even though his appearance has changed, his athletic abilities could not have improved instantly. As the start signal sounds, Fudo, to everyone's astonishment, dashes to the finish line in an exaggerated pose and even slows down before crossing it, still breaking the school record. Numerous girls swarm around him, and the towel he uses to wipe his sweat is frantically fought over. As evening falls, Fudo goes to the riverbank to retrieve a backpack left by Makimura. At that moment, a group of thugs comes looking for trouble again. But unlike before, Fudo now instigates the confrontation. The atmosphere becomes tense immediately. Just as they are about to teach Fudo a lesson, Fudo quickly knocks them all into the water. Makimura, who happens to be passing by, sees everything. Now Fudo, like a child who has done something wrong, lowers his head, returns the backpack to Makimura, and quickly flees the scene. He feels something inside him has completely changed. Whatever happened that night, Ryo must know. Inside a luxurious villa, Fudo approaches Ryo, who is recuperating in bed. After some pleasantries, Fudo asks what happened that night. He only remembers wanting to save Ryo, but can't recall anything that followed. Ryo tells him that he defeated the demon and saved everyone. Fudo breathes a sigh of relief. His transformation was not without meaning. They continue to talk, but the scene playing on Ryo's computer suggests that Ryo's story is a lie. In a dark corner of the city, a man fearfully fires his gun incessantly at several people who remain unharmed. The desolate surroundings echo with chilling screams as a striking figure appears.
カイム、お前がこのシレーヌの相手にだと不釣り合いだ。
This is a simple dinner. Although Fudo sits here as a lodger, his relationship with these people feels more like family. After saying grace before the meal, everyone starts using their utensils. At the dinner table, Makimura's mother talks about the temple's head priest. Taro jokingly says he was taken away by a demon and gets a stern scolding from Makimura. In fact, Taro has a good relationship with the head priest. He knows the priest owns a lot of guns and also hides many watches under his sleeves. At this moment, Makimura's mother suddenly starts to sob. She does not want anything bad happening to her loved ones. Makimura's father comforts her on the side. Feeling the sad atmosphere, the crybaby tears up again. This man is named Nagasaki. He makes a living by taking photos, but secretly he forces young girls into situations that make him a lot of money. One of his targets is Makimura. By chance, Nagasaki learns about loud music and occasional human screams coming from a scrapyard, guessing it might be an underground gathering. He plans to sneak in, hoping to capture footage of the rumored demons for a huge profit. His boss tells him to keep his daydreams in check and stick to his regular job. Nagasaki agrees verbally but has already made his plans. That night, he hides in a dumpster. A group drags a homeless man to the spot, gives him a weapon to defend himself, and then transforms into demons. The homeless man is torn apart, and Nagasaki captures it all on camera. The demons notice something odd and move to check. Terrified, Nagasaki is about to be discovered when Fudo, investigating demonic crimes with Ryo, arrives. Seeing an arm full of watches, Fudo's anger surges, and he transforms into a demon, starting a rampage while Ryo records everything. Suddenly, Nagasaki jumps out with his camera. Ryo tries to stop him but can't catch up due to his injuries. He informs Fudo that they've been filmed. By then, Nagasaki has already driven away, believing the footage could change history. Ryo realizes the entire transformation might have been recorded. If the video goes online, the consequences could be dire. They must recover it immediately. Inside a large building, Nagasaki hands the video over to his boss. However, the boss scoffs at it, thinking it's just movie special effects, and dismisses him. After Nagasaki leaves, a strange liquid crawls under his car. Still unwilling to give up, Nagasaki calls Makimura, asking her to meet him at the studio under the pretense of discussing important matters, promising that he will not bother her again if she agrees. On the other end, Makimura decides to accept his request. Nagasaki, smug, knows that the man who turned into a demon yesterday is Fudo, who lives at Makimura's house. He is determined to confront him in person. Just then, a mass of eerie liquid envelops him, but his car continues driving towards the distance. Meanwhile, Ryo reconstructs the appearance of the voyeur. Recognizing him as the photographer harassing Makimura, he and Fudo find Nagasaki's address. They are met by his mother when they knock. Ryo forcefully enters, heads to the room, and quickly cracks the computer's password. He finds the video of Fudo transforming into a demon and traces Nagasaki's location. Before leaving, Ryo gives the elderly woman some money as compensation and specifically instructs her not to access the computer in the upstairs room. With a meaningful smile, Ryo departs. Inside the studio, Makimura arrives as promised, completely soaked due to the rain. She borrows the bathroom to take a shower. On the other side of the wall, as the power turns on, Makimura's body is instantly exposed. Meanwhile, Nagasaki heads to the door, a strange liquid flowing from his body and quickly spreading inside, engulfing Makimura completely. Elsewhere, Kaim learns of Amon's whereabouts from his subordinate's surveillance and informs Sirene. Under the high blue moon, a female demon struggles to contain her agitation. At this moment, Fudo locates Nagasaki's place, but Makimura, possessed, answers the door. She leads Fudo inside and undresses in front of him. As Fudo is in shock, the photographer transforms into a huge demon. Ryo arrives just in time to handle the demon. The possessed Makimura senses danger and immediately flees. Fudo captures her and inhales the demon from her mouth into his own body. The demon, mocking, attempts to take over Fudo's body. However, Fudo's body suddenly emits intense heat, forcing the demon to escape due to the unbearable temperature. Fudo seizes this opportunity and tears the demon in half. Meanwhile, Ryo learns from Nagasaki that there are no other copies of the video. He then kills Nagasaki, a scene witnessed by Fudo. When Fudo questions why Ryo would kill a human, the answer he receives is that their secret must remain hidden, and anyone who has seen it must be eliminated. At Nagasaki's house, his mother, out of curiosity, turns on the computer, leading to an instant explosion in the room. Today is the day Fudo's parents are supposed to return from abroad. However, only his mother is on the plane. She calls Fudo, but he cannot answer as he is trying to stop Ryo from killing Makimura. His mother seems very anxious. It turns out Fudo's father has had an accident, and knowing what happened, she is desperate to speak with him. The next day, Makimura sits unharmed at the dining table. At Fudo's insistence, Ryo did not kill her, and she believes the events of the previous night were just a dream. Fudo plans to pick up his mother, Kaori, from the airport. Both of Fudo's parents are doctors who travel the world treating people. Makimura's parents also look forward to reuniting with their dear friends. Finally, the plane lands. Kaori looks out the window, lost in thought. Ground staff notice something on the landing gear, but one is killed as he approaches it. A bus slowly moves forward, heading towards a disaster. Suddenly, a scream is heard, and everyone looks ahead. Inside the bus, the world turns into hell. Kaori desperately pleads with her husband to stop the killing, but it's futile. A huge stinger pierces a woman. At that moment, there are no survivors left in the bus, except for that monstrous creature. At the airport, Fudo waits but does not see his mother arrive. Other families from the same flight are also waiting. Ryo senses something is wrong and uses his phone to locate Kaori. They rush to the location. Upon arriving, Fudo stops immediately. His mother continuously apologizes for neglecting him, but it is too late. As Fudo starts to question why she is apologizing, chaotic noises emerge from the darkness. Next to his mother, numerous other human heads appear. A figure slowly emerges, a horrifying body with his father's voice. Overwhelmed with rage, the scene becomes tumultuous. When his mother sees Fudo transformed into a demon, despair engulfs her. Fudo explains he is not a demon, but a demon man, who has overcome the darkness with his human heart, and he urges his father to defeat the demon. In the next moment, to avoid human retaliation, the demon decapitates his father. It mocks human folly. Ryo urges Fudo to kill it, but Fudo hesitates as his mother is still part of it. Ryo says they are already dead, and if Fudo does not act, he will. Ultimately, Fudo kills his own parents. He gently closes his mother's eyes. Ryo picks up a cell phone from the ground, showing a photo of the family of 3. At this moment, The people who loved Fudo most are gone forever. Complex and tangled emotions corrode Fudo's soul. He vents his pain by hunting demons, but it's not enough. Human spirits are fragile, and acting purely on emotion can lead to breakdown. The most common human coping mechanism is to forget, replacing pain with something else. However, this can trap a person in a cycle. In a red light district on a certain street, women warmly greet passing pedestrians. Fudo walks aimlessly forward, attracting curious looks due to his odd appearance. At that moment, a voice reaches him. Fudo heads straight for the woman who asks for his real name. He doesn't answer, and the scene cuts away. Following a painful scream, white wings unfold. The female demon, Sirene, grasps Fudo beneath her and soars into the sky, having waited too long for this day to bring Amon back to her. Fudo transforms, breaking free from his restraints, more intent now on tearing the demon before him to shreds than on venting his desires. Sirene moves swiftly in the darkness, and Fudo, following her, accumulates wounds. This is his first dreadful defeat as Amon. The demons he faced before were nothing like her. The memory of his parents killed by a demon ignites a furious rage within him. Fudo furiously tears at her body. Sirene wails as she flies into the sky. Seeing Sirene unable to escape, Kaim reveals his true form and unleashes lightning from the sky, striking them down. Although she was separated from Fudo, her appearance was utterly miserable. Her death was only a matter of time. At this moment, Sirene was filled with reluctance. Kaim walked up to her and suggested they merge, but Sirene did not understand why Kaim would propose such a thing. Due to the condition of her body, even if she temporarily gained great power, they would ultimately die. Kaim simply told her, "I just want you to taste the victory over a demon." At that moment, Sirene finally understood Kaim's love for her. As their figures swiftly converged, blinding lightning flashed, and a supremely beautiful creature was born in the darkness. The lightning paralyzed Fudo's body, and a massive horn pierced him through. Fudo had no strength to resist, and could not even maintain his demonic form. As Fudo prepared for death, Ryo arrived at his side. He did not understand why he was still alive. With Ryo's support, Fudo stepped outside and saw a figure whose proud demeanor seemed to declare ownership of victory. It turned out the demon was already dead after launching its attack. At this moment, Fudo was somewhat moved and asked Ryo if there was love among demons. Ryo replied that it was impossible because demons are merely simplistic creatures. But at that moment, Fudo surprisingly countered Ryo's view. If you were given a chance to fulfill your wish, but the price was the death of the one who loves you, would you take it? The woman, Miki Kuroda, became known as Miko from a certain day due to the influence of someone. All her efforts turned into a joke because of this person. The woman called Makimura Miki is seen as a favored child of the heavens. Her achievements are nearly at the peak among her peers. The three of them have been running buddies since childhood. Kuroda, having practiced track from a young age, was always the fastest. However, in high school, Makimura suddenly became number one. The extroverted Makimura attracted everyone's attention, overshadowing Kuroda completely. Kuroda did not have a happy family like Makimura, nor understanding parents like hers. She just wanted to make a difference in her life through hard work, but her only highlight seemed dim in front of Makimura. One day, possibly out of jealousy, she took over a photo shoot that was meant for Makimura. Unexpectedly, the photographer, Nagasaki, turned out to be a scoundrel. She was violated. The introverted Kuroda did not dare tell anyone, and this tragic experience twisted her insides, releasing suppressed desires. Her life might have continued in darkness had she not met a boy with low self-esteem. Kukan has always liked Kuroda, but never had the courage to confess. He didn't even know her full name, and just watched her silently from behind. One day, seeing her lonely figure again, he finally gathered the courage and expressed his feelings through a rap. The girl cried. Kukun's song resonated with her deeply, each line a true reflection of her experiences. She told Kukun her name was Kuroda and admitted that Makimura was indeed very strong. Her tears of frustration flowed. She wanted to beat Makimura in track at least, or she felt she couldn't be worthy of the name and would forever be Miko. However, the boy's comfort made her completely let down her guard. Things seemed fine until the next event shattered it all. To cheer Kuroda up, Kukun took her to a Sabbath party where they encountered a demon. The anime ends the scene there without explaining what happened, but afterwards, Kuroda's personality changed drastically, and her physical abilities increased terrifyingly. Clearly, she was possessed by the demon. Where did Kukun go? Later in the story, a dead body in a dark room behind Kuroda reveals a grim fact. Kukun is dead, and greater tragedies are set to unfold. Tomorrow marks the opening ceremony of the National High School Track and Field Championship, and Koda, the high school sprinter who broke 5 world records, will be participating. Ryo has found out that this man is a demon and intends to expose Koda's true identity. He pointed to a bottle of liquid on the table and had Fudo drink it, then played a red screen on the TV nearby. Suddenly, Fudo uncontrollably transformed into a demon and attacked Ryo. His plan is to make Koda drink this bottle of liquid and then live stream what happens next to expose the existence of demons to the public. The next day quickly arrives with a huge crowd at the competition venue, where the participation of star athletes brings massive attention. In the locker room, Fudo approaches Koda and suddenly starts rambling incoherently, making the people around think he is insane. However, Koda panics and throws Fudo aside. Ryo appears just in time to calm Koda's nerves, knowing that if Koda loses control and transforms here, all his efforts would be in vain. Fudo picks up a drink from the ground and leaves. In the dark underground parking lot, Koda listens to encouraging words from a man on his phone, who is not only his teammate, but also his lover. However, this man had already been killed by an out-of-control Koda. On the track, Ryo hands Koda a bottle of water, telling him it's provided by a sponsor, and he needs to drink it on camera. Koda then drinks it. The race is about to begin, starting with a special event this year, a mixed-gender 400-meter relay race. However, Koda will run the entire distance alone. As the starting gun fires, all athletes set off, but Koda easily overtakes everyone. When the second leg begins, Kuroda, who has waited long for this day, receives the baton and immediately sprints out, quickly catching up to the leading Koda. Both start using their true power, but Koda quickly pulls ahead. During the third leg handover, Fudo takes the baton and chases Koda. Having learned about Koda's situation from his teammate, Fudo's goal is not to win, but to save him. Ryo watches everything silently and then presses a switch on the table. A crimson screen instantly covers the entire venue, displaying various scenes to the audience. Fudo rushes forward to tell Ryo to stop the operation. He did not switch Koda's drink. However, Ryo had already set everything up, and as Koda transforms into a demon uncontrollably, the existence of demons is revealed to all. This marks the beginning of the dark phase in the anime plot. The events are so oppressing they make one feel nauseous. Witnessing Taro in such a bloody scene, his mother realizes her son has turned into a demon. She opts not to hand him over to the government, knowing it would mean certain death for him. She also decides against returning home to avoid endangering her husband and daughter. With nowhere to go, the two end up in a refugee camp, listening to a priest's prayers and seeking a false hope. Upon learning of his wife's departure, the father prepares to search for her alone. Before leaving, he asks Fudo to take care of Makimura, who agrees without hesitation. Unbeknownst to Makimura, this departure would be his father's last. The world has greatly changed. The exposure of demons is like opening Pandora's box. Dominated by fear, the weak suspect each other. To kill a few hundred demons, millions of humans are sacrificed. Weapons meant for protection instead cause self-destruction. The world collapses. Laws become a joke. The father intends to ask passers-by about his family's whereabouts, but instead he faces the barrel of a gun. Just as the stranger prepares to pull the trigger, he is shot dead by someone else, who in turn is quickly suppressed by the military. Experiencing all this, the man realizes there's no kindness left in the world, and death could come at any moment. He picks up a gun from the ground and swiftly hides in a corner. On the other side, with Ryo's help, Fudo found the location of Makimura's mother. He asked Makimura to inform his father and went to meet them himself. Inside the church, everyone crowded together, listening repeatedly to the priest's sermon. However, Taro, in the corner, could no longer control his hunger. Seeing her son's agony, the kind-hearted mother made a horrifying decision. Meanwhile, the father finally located the refugee camp where his wife was. After calling out several times with no response, he dialed his son's phone. Following the familiar ringtone, he walked inside. But when he pulled back the curtain, he saw a demon devouring a human. The man couldn't believe what was unfolding before his eyes. The mobile phone hanging from the demon's waist proved it was his son. His wife, who had been caring for their son, was nowhere to be seen. The human being devoured must be her. The man cried out in despair. He repeatedly lifted his gun, only to lower it again. Should he kill the demon in front of him to avenge his wife? But this demon was his own son. How could he possibly bring himself to do it? Fudo arrived too late. He buried the three together. At that moment, countless demons descended, led by Zenon. Zenon's purpose was twofold: to avenge Sirene and Kaim, and to awaken Amon's will. Under Zenon's terrifying power, Fudo nearly had his arm torn off. Amon, known as the most powerful demon, was no match for him. Fudo was severely injured. Just as a demon was about to end his life, Psycho Jenny intervened, stating it was Satan's will. At that moment, Kuroda rescued Fudo. However, Koda, who was with them, was discovered by the demons and chose to join their ranks. After bandaging his wounds, Kuroda took Fudo to the Makimura home. However, Kuroda accidentally spilled the contents of his bag, and he witnessed this, setting the stage for a later tragedy. Soon after, Makimura learned of his family's death. Due to demonic incidents, massive armed conflicts erupted worldwide. However, humans refrained from using nuclear weapons due to a deep-seated fear. On a naval ship, an officer conversing with the commander was suddenly killed. He never expected that his superior, who he had worked closely with, was actually a demon. True despair soon followed. With the press of a button, a nuclear weapon was launched. A blinding white flash instantly enveloped the entire sea area, killing all demons within it. Watching the white sphere, Ryo screamed in agony. At this moment, all demons felt a soul-deep terror. After calming himself, Ryo realized something was amiss. Everything he had done so far was aimed at destroying humanity, but he himself was human. Why would he do this? It made no sense. Recognizing the need to understand his true self, Ryo returned to the site of a previous Sabbath party. Pointing a gun ahead, he encountered several ordinary humans. Looking around, there were no traces of the party. Could his memory be faulty? He immediately shot at the wall, revealing demon claw marks once again. Clearly, the wall had been deliberately repaired. Who would erase the evidence of that massacre? Doubts grew in his mind. Moreover, Ryo's former colleagues had also forgotten about the existence of Professor Fichura. Things were becoming increasingly strange. Recalling the professor's last words to him, Ryo felt enveloped in a fog of mystery. He decided to go back further in time to investigate. Deep in the African jungle, Ryo was digging up the grave of Professor Fichura, whom he had buried himself, only to find the body mysteriously gone. Suddenly, a child burst out, joyfully shouting that Satan had returned. More and more people arrived and took Ryo to the tribe's ceremonial site. There, Ryo saw the so-called Satan, a statue that was unmistakably a likeness of himself. Memories that should have been lost flooded his mind. Suddenly, several fighter jets appeared in the sky and fired missiles directly at him. Soldiers cautiously advanced, and a flash of white light followed. Miraculously, Ryo was unharmed. As he wondered about the shield that had appeared in front of him, the soldiers opened fire. Strangely, all the bullets halted mid-air. With a thought, Ryo sent the bullets back, killing all the soldiers. At that moment, countless demons emerged from the ground to greet their king.
もう目覚めておいでのはずです。
Ryo announced to the world a method to win the war, eliminate demons that existed before birth. But how could one identify such demons? He told the audience on screen that anyone who had changed might be a demon. To prove his point, Ryo publicly broadcasted a video of Fudo transforming into a demon, noting that Fudo had been extremely insecure before, even living with another family due to his parents' work. Eventually, his dissatisfaction erupted, turning him into a demon. After setting this stage, Ryo unleashed human fear to serve his own ends, never speaking the true facts about demons. He used his authority to spread falsehoods worldwide, planting seeds of deeper suspicion and pushing humanity towards an abyss. Meanwhile, guns were already aimed at Fudo, who was disbelieved by all, clearly driving him to a dead end. Ryo's actions were designed to make Fudo abandon his human identity and join him instead. However, he miscalculated, for Makimura still believed in Fudo. Even as a demon, Fudo cried for others, leading Makimura to trust him completely. Under everyone's gaze, Makimura embraced Fudo tightly, showing that the man before them was not a vicious fiend. This embrace undoubtedly saved Fudo. Seeing this, the crowd finally lowered their guard. Fudo told Makimura he was going to ask Ryo for clarity, unable to accept betrayal from the person he trusted most. After making a promise to Makimura, Fudo left. Along the way, he encountered humans slaughtering their own and cried out for them to stop. But no one listened. They threw stones at Fudo to vent their emotions. After a while, the group realized the demon was not fighting back. He stood in front of the bound victims, shielding them from the attacks. Meanwhile, Makimura was clarifying online that Fudo, though a demon, had a human heart, and she chose to believe in him. Despite the vicious online abuse, she did not give up. Her relentless efforts eventually awakened kindness in some people. Devilmen began to reveal their identities online. As more devilmen came forward, Makimura's actions truly unified them. Meanwhile, the crying demon moved the humans at the scene. A child hugged Fudo, and more people embraced him, expressing their apologies. At that moment, the barrier between humans and devilmen seemed to dissolve. Then, Zenon suddenly arrived with his followers. When confronted by the demon who had defeated him before, Fudo was not afraid. After a tough fight, he defeated Zenon. Reflecting on these life and death events, Fudo changed his decision. He no longer wanted to seek the so-called truth from Ryo. From what had just happened, Fudo saw hope for the future between humans and devilmen. He now wanted to return and protect Makimura, his last family. But can everything go as he wishes? The real darkness is just beginning. What lies ahead for Fudo? What is human nature? It is neither desire nor love, but the sympathy and empathy spoken of by Ryo, an understanding and feeling of others' emotions. Interestingly, both demons and humans have lost this nature in the great battle. In a cramped room, Kuroda opened her heart to Makimura, finally voicing thoughts buried deep within. She thought her jealousy of Makimura's excellence led to deeper self-loathing. She believed her past self was just timid and weak, which changed her usual gentle and calm demeanor. But only now does Kuroda realize these were excuses to cover her true inner thoughts. She admitted she had never understood this point, which is exactly human nature. Faced with Kuroda's confession, Makimura gently comforted her. She understood Kuroda's jealousy, her affection, and her constant pursuit. At this moment, both finally resolved their misunderstandings. Kuroda decided to protect Makimura as a devilman. However, suddenly a large mob gathered downstairs. Why did they know the address? Because someone amongst them had betrayed them. He had been suspicious since Kuroda accidentally dropped a pair of glasses from her bag, which belonged to Cocoon. Upon confirming Kuroda was a demon and suspecting she had killed Cocoon, he chose betrayal to avenge his friend by leaking the address to kill the demon. But is the situation really as he thought? Certainly not. Cocoon's death was due to a demon at the Sabbath party. Some may wonder why Hai didn't communicate with others before jumping to conclusions. If he had asked Kuroda, perhaps the tragedy could have been avoided. However, this assumption is negative. While searching for Kukun, they were retaliated against for mistaking someone else. A young man falsely accused them of concealing guns, attracting the police. When ordered to kneel by the police with guns, Hae alone did not comply. Looking at his hands in his pockets, the police even thought he was drawing a gun. Hae offered no explanation until Makimura came to resolve the situation. Hae's extremely introverted nature made him unwilling to communicate with anyone, even under threat to his life. Thus, the tragedy was bound to happen. The conflict started quickly. Rioters stormed Makimura's home, and the first to be killed was Gabi, who could hardly believe what was happening as his friend Babo killed him. They had planned to drive away, with Babo going to bring the car. However, when he brought the car downstairs, it was already surrounded by rioters. If Babo had sided wrongly, he would have been killed on the spot, so Babo chose to join them to save his own life. The group of 5 rap friends completely fell apart. Kukun's death led to He's revenge. He's revenge led to Wamu's death and Babo's betrayal. And Babo's betrayal led to Gabi's death. This is the chain of causality. Later, Kuroda, who fled with Makimura, questioned the humans in front of her about what human nature is, though she already had the answer in her heart. Before Kuroda died, she pleaded for them to spare Makimura. In a way, Makimura, who awakened all the devil men, represents the ephemeral human nature and the last vestige of goodness in humanity. If they lost this, humanity would surely face extinction. Amidst screams, it wasn't the fear of death, but the realization that their efforts were futile and humanity was doomed. When Fudo arrived and witnessed this scene, pain and despair plunged him into darkness. Without continuing Makimura's legacy, Fudo completely gave up on humanity. In this horrific scene, to Fudo, they were the real demons. His immense rage incinerated everyone present. The tragedy was inevitable and beyond redemption. Due to Makimura's death, Fudo directed all his blame towards Ryo. At this time, Ryo revealed his true identity as the fallen angel Satan. He told Fudo that he had declared war against God and, after aimlessly wandering the universe, ultimately arrived at this land. He was drawn to the demons' pure hearts and decided to settle here. However, the cruel divine powers would not allow him to exist, even in such a remote place. Yet, they did not die. After a long passage of time, they awoke once more. Ryo gave Fudo the strongest demon body to enable their coexistence. Ryo invited Fudo to join them and live together in a new world after ending everything. Fudo immediately refused. His life had been ruined by demons, and he could not ally with them. He challenged Ryo to a battle and rallied all the world's devilmen to declare war on the demons. At this moment, a 3-way battle began. Devilmen against demons, humans against humans, and humans against devilmen. In the apocalypse, nuclear weapons were recklessly used, wiping out millennia of civilization in an instant. Within just a few days, humanity was nearly extinct. In the sky, the battle between devilmen and demons was underway. Although Fudo was no match for Satan, devilmen continuously merged their powers with him. They passed their hopes and lives to Fudo. At this moment, the baton, which should have disappeared, reappeared. Although Makimura did not hand it to Fudo before she died, she inadvertently passed this human legacy to the devilmen. This time, the devilmen handed it to Fudo. After truly receiving this baton, Fudo decided to pass this final leg to Ryo. However, the boy tilted his head, not understanding. Fudo tried everything to convey his intentions to Ryo, but the baton kept falling to the ground. The battle lasted indefinitely, turning the sea red and cleaving the sky and earth in two, until all life perished, and Fudo also died completely. Ryo then understood. He finally grasped the ephemeral human nature and felt emotions he had never experienced before. Tears trickled down as he could no longer share with Fudo, nor would he ever receive answers. Divine punishment descended, turning everything into nothingness. The cycle of life would restart in a distant future,